It's almost surreal how quickly rumors can explode online, especially when someone as high profile as Durk is involved. Whispers about his alleged release date started floating the moment his team dropped that motivational footage of him speaking. Candidly, sharing advice like, if you can't afford 10 Maybachs, then don't buy one. Some viewers thought it was just an inspiring message, but others read it as a strategic move. A carefully chosen montage meant to paint Durk in the best possible light. Before anyone knew it, a viral comment popped up, suggesting his camp was trying to show judges and skeptics alike that Durk isn't the hardened figure some make him out to be. Instead, the video tried to position him as a level-headed individual who values humility, faith, and long-term thinking. Before the buzz could settle, there were more provocative claims. DJ Academics tweeted his support, hinting that Durk's next album would shake up the industry, and an insider from OTF chimed in, saying there was something bigger happening behind the scenes. Then Kanye jumped into the mix. He allegedly called Durk while he was locked up, sounding almost casual about how Durk was holding up and reminiscing about a trip they once took to Saudi Arabia. For a moment, it seemed like we'd stepped into a surreal timeline. Durk behind bars, still fielding phone calls from megastars who believed he'd soon be out and back to making music. Just as everyone was soaking in that wave of optimism, news broke that Durk might have been attacked in his cell block. Details were scarce, leaving the public to wonder if he was seriously hurt or if the story was overblown. Some sources mentioned that he could be moved to another facility, while rumors pointed fingers at individuals who might want to see him gone. Around the same time, Quando Rondo and Tim both dropped separate interviews, each oddly releasing them on the exact same day. They spoke about how things could have been handled differently on that tragic night with Vaughn, insisting they never wanted anything catastrophic to happen. Some fans argued this was just two guys trying to clear their conscience. Others insisted the timing was no coincidence, suspecting they might be stirring the pot while Durk was vulnerable behind bars. That's when the conversation veered toward Durk's lyrics. The feds seemed fixated on lines like, "Look on the news and see your son, you screaming no, no," linking them to a real-life situation involving Quando. Durk's producer, however, claimed these specific lyrics were recorded months before the incident in question, a defense strategy reminiscent of the YSL trial, where attorneys argue songs are fictional and recorded well before any alleged crimes. Critics call it a convenient alibi. Supporters see it as genuine proof that rap is often just storytelling. Behind the scenes, a bigger storm was brewing. The U? Authorities claimed they had a trove of evidence against Durk, including more than 230 gigabytes of audio and video recordings and tens of thousands of pages of reports. The star witness, according to rumors, was someone known as OTF Jam, a once loyal companion who allegedly flipped when the pressure got intense. People pointed to suspicious behavior in old Instagram live clips, noticing how Jam was fiddling with his jacket like there might be a wire underneath. Others believed Jam acted strange around Durk, prompting Durk to keep his home off limits and tighten his inner circle to a near impenetrable degree. The rumor mill claimed Jam had been given $50,000 as a sign of trust, yet he still cooperated with prosecutors. Then, after Durk got wind that Jam was indeed talking to the feds, word spread that Jam was found and dealt a harsh punishment by OTF affiliates. Nobody knew if the story was exaggerated or if more serious measures had been taken. All that was certain was that Jam's alleged betrayal stung deeply, solidifying Durk's resolve to never let anyone too close unless they'd proven absolute loyalty. Not long after, people began revisiting Brick Baby's controversial statements. He once mentioned that folks could no longer say Durk didn't seek revenge for King Von, implying some connection to the tragic passing of a person known as PAB. In an old clip, Brick Baby seemed to brag or slip up, adding weight to the theory that Durk was behind certain incidents. It didn't help that academics had previously laid out a kind of timeline that stretched from Von's departure in 2020 to Durk's brother's tragedy in 2021 to a retaliatory event in 2022 and eventually Durk's near-future album, which some believe symbolized a recovery from all the chaos. As fans debated whether these coincidences formed a pattern, OTF Bezos stepped in via social media to calm everyone down. He claimed no one really knew what was going on behind closed doors. In his eyes, the internet just loved to play detective, jumping to conclusions and throwing out accusations. He insisted that unless you were physically in that courtroom or privy to the private conversations, you were just guessing. That didn't stop the speculation, though. Durk managed to briefly address the rumors. He got on a call and mentioned that nobody in his circle was taking protective custody. He seemed determined to present a strong front, reminding everyone that even though he was locked up, his people still had his back and knew how to move money or resources if needed. It was a glimpse into the strategic side of Durk, the one that carefully plans every move, from limiting house guests to controlling information about flights and meetings. Critics saw this as evidence that Durk might be orchestrating something bigger. Supporters believed it was just him trying to stay safe in a system where trust is a rare commodity. Lawyers then weighed in, dissecting the possibility of a federal conspiracy charge. One legal analyst pointed out that prosecutors often go after the easiest target first. If they can flip someone who was minimally involved or who might want a lighter sentence, they'll use that person's testimony to go after the bigger fish. The attorney also noted that while some of Durk's text messages or phone calls might look suspicious, a single message about not putting his name on flight lists doesn't automatically prove guilt. The question is whether prosecutors can stack enough separate pieces of evidence, wiretaps, eyewitness accounts, or direct recordings against Durk. The same attorney suggested there could be deals in the works. In federal cases, cooperating witnesses sometimes get unbelievably lenient sentences if they can provide valuable information. If a mid-level associate flips, that might leave the big players more exposed. Yet even then, the law has to piece together a coherent narrative linking Durk to any alleged wrongdoing. The fact that rap lyrics are being scrutinized further complicates matters. Are these lines genuinely an outline of criminal activity, or are they just the creative expression of an artist who draws on gritty experiences for authenticity? Meanwhile, fans can't stop talking about the phone call with Kanye, the alleged jailhouse attack, and that strange set of interviews from Quando Rondo and Tim. Everyone is trying to figure out if these dots connect. Some think it's a master plan orchestrated by OTF to manipulate public opinion in Durk's favor, maybe even showing clips of him praying or giving heartfelt advice to highlight a softer side. Others see it as an orchestrated effort by opposing factions to keep Durk locked up, possibly stirring up trouble so he stays tangled in legal issues. What's clear is that Durk has always been one step ahead in protecting himself. He's openly stated that he sees potential betrayal a mile away and that he doesn't allow visitors at his home. To some, that's just paranoia or the byproduct of existing in a world where you never know who's genuinely loyal. To others, it's a sign that Durk is used to navigating dangerous waters and has learned from watching so many peers fall victim to snitches, setups, or their own mistakes. Yet even with that caution, trouble found its way into his circle. Jam allegedly recorded conversations, twisted them into evidence, and then found himself on the receiving end of OTF's wrath. So the question becomes, can Durk outmaneuver federal prosecutors in the same way he tried to outmaneuver potential informants? Or has he run out of luck now that the authorities claim to have so much data? Hours of footage, reams of documents, and possibly more inside witnesses. Some watchers believe Durk will cut a deal. If the feds offer something tempting enough, it might be easier to accept a lesser charge than to gamble on a trial that could put him away for a long time. Others think Durk's team will prove the case is built on circumstantial links, alleged snitches with questionable credibility, rap lyrics that might have been recorded well before certain events, and social media posts that fans have interpreted in a million ways. For now, everything hinges on how determined the prosecutors are to make an example out of him. Federal cases often rely heavily on cooperating witnesses, and it looks like Jam isn't the only name swirling in this circle of rumor and accusation. It could be that more people step forward, each hoping to secure a lighter sentence. Or it could be that the alleged snitches contradict themselves under pressure, leaving the court to question whether Durk is really the mastermind behind any of these incidents.